We have a special guest. We'll be doing some Q&A. A little later on in the meeting, we're also going to be doing some impromptu speaking. That's where you get a chance to get up and we get to surprise you with questions. But I will guarantee you that if you can do impromptu speaking well, you can give a good answer to your executive. You can give a good answer to your boss. And most importantly, you can give a good answer to your wife. Oh, well, that's my experience. But and it does help talk with the kids and other colleagues. It helps you to communicate much better. But before we go, let's get started. And I want to introduce Bhargav, who's going to give us an introduction to Toastmasters. Please help me welcome Bhargav.
Thank you so much, Paul. Hi, guys. A very good morning to you all, and welcome to this open house event organized by Interconnected Toastmasters. Thank you, Sarah, for being here. It's a great honor to share a platform with you. So, little introduction about me. My name is Bhargav. If I remember, I was giving a presentation a few months back. I was a Batman. So my name is Bhargav. I work as a full stack engineer for digital experience solutions team. Where is Terry? Yeah, there she is. So yeah, I'm also VP for public relations for this club. I want to share a secret tool with you guys, which I found, and it was really helpful for me to improve my communication skills. It was really so beautiful that it drastically improved my personal life, also the quality of conversations that I'm having, and it had a huge impact on my life. So in order to explain how this helped, I need to share a little story of mine. I was a decent communicator whenever I participated in few meetings. If I'm prepared for a conversation, I'm really decent at that. But I used to struggle whenever I have a conversation with a new person. Whenever I meet in new people in meeting, I used to have a hard time communicating with them. Because when they're asking me a question, I used to think a lot on what I should respond next. Because of this, I was not able to digest what the other person was trying to say. I created a situation which was a little awkward. So this really reduced the opportunity for me to network with my colleagues, my friends, and it was not helping me in my personal life. I really wanted to do something about that. I started first step taking on making a research. I realized more than 65% of participants of a group of working people, they said like they also had communication as the top problem in their life at the work. Also, in few of the other surveys, they said that communication is the biggest reason for ending up in divorce in their personal relation. So it's not a minor problem. We always underestimate the problem that it can cause in our future. Then I started learning how communication works. I used to think communication is just sending a message and obviously other person will understand what we are trying to say. It's not the case. Even if you are trying to explain a small message, you need to figure out a way that it's more comfortable for the other person to consume it. Because there are many other factors which can help in the way how the other person looks at the same message. It might be their language, it might be their previous experiences. There are multiple things which can shape the reality. My goal was to find the equal medium where I can have a conversation with other person and he's more comfortable understand what I was trying to say. That was my goal. It was simple, but the concept of communication is more complicated. When the number of people involving in the conversation increases, the complexity increases drastically. So I felt like it's not that easy to overcome this challenge. I was actively looking out for some tool. Then I found Toastmasters. I went to one meeting and they really simplified things for me. They categorized things into speaking and listening. So it was so easy for me. End of the day, we have different concepts in Toastmasters. One is table topics where they help you train your immediate spontaneous speaking skills. And we have other section where you prepare for speeches, you sign up early and you prepare for it and you train for it. The important factor that helps in your improvement is the feedback that you get. We have different roles in every Toastmasters club. For example, our counter. Our counter is a role where they will concentrate on your filler words, They concentrate on your grammar. There are different roles. We'll have a small example here running out soon. But all these roles will really help you to get feedback. And you can use that feedback. You can work on it. You can try once again in the next meeting. For sure, you'll find improvement in yourself. We are only talking about speaking. I always miss the part of listening. I once spoke to my friend, and he told me that when he is getting into a conversation, sometimes he tend to miss to listen what other person is trying to say. Sometimes he might be thinking about his favorite superstar from Indian movies, Rajinikanth. How many of you guys know Rajinikanth from here? Cool, that's a good number. For people who doesn't know him, he is like an Indian Superman. He can do anything he wants, so we believe in him. So people get distracted in conversations. I also used to, but I wanted to train myself. So I signed up for roles like grammarian, accounter, evaluator. So this forces me to listen to the conversation, what other people was trying to communicate with me. That really improved my performance. We also have opportunities to choose different pathways. I have a goal to improve my leadership skills. Few people want to have motivational skills to be improved. So they have different paths that they want to do. Our Toastmasters Club offers different pathways. These are the programs custom made for your use case. They'll give you feedback, they'll give you task assignments, which you can sign up, you can volunteer for them. They will define your path, they'll help you achieve your goals. End of the day, Toastmasters is not just about communication. It's about opportunities that you get. I signed up for different officer roles. Right now, I'm a VP of PR, as I mentioned. Also, I found cool mentors. Bob is sitting there, Patricia is sitting there. All the rest of the members in my club, they are a huge mentorship for me. Similarly, I got an opportunity to lead this event. I always love leading few things, but getting opportunity is really rare. But Toastmasters opened up the opportunity for me. That's really great. Also, one fun part is I always wanted to present live in front of my wife. Today I achieved that goal. She's sitting in that corner. She's my motivator also. She is a great evaluator. So today she is gonna have a great feedback for me. So I was able to achieve this. I'm not saying that you'll be getting a six-pack transformation, something like this, but trust me, the quality of your life will increase drastically. I was able to network with more people. Previously, I hardly knew 10 people or 10 members here, but right now, I can clearly say that I know most of the people sitting here. I'm really happy to say that. In my personal life, I made so many friends and I'm feeling more comfortable. So I want this opportunity to share you guys regarding Toastmasters. Please sign up, please use this opportunity, and it's gonna change your life in a positive way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhargav. Leadership is so important. That's something, by the way, people think leaders are born, but leaders are actually made, and they're made by stepping up. And he stepped up to give the speech in front of Sarah and all his peers, which can be quite intimidating. Today, we're privileged and honored to have Sarah here as a special guest. And we want to make sure that she would give her perspective on what it's like being a leader and having communication skills, and for her journey as a leader and how those communication skills have impacted her. So please help me welcome Sarah Bach.
Thank you, Bob. Well, thank you, Bob and Bhargav, for your eloquent speech. It's funny to be standing before you as though you might perceive that I'm an expert at this, but I'm a student of public speaking myself. And so whoever's doing the ah counter and the counter, I'm sure will be racking it up in the next 5 minutes or so. The team asked me to come and just speak a little bit about my journey as a communicator and as an executive and how that's influenced, my approach to leading and how I've been successful in some of my trials and tribulations along the way. And so I was thinking about some stories to share. I mean, I think, I guess I echo what Bhargav says in the sense, and the Toastmasters curriculum is also new to me. And so this concept of being both a good communicator and a good listener, right? That you're having a two-way exchange, and that part of the value in communicating is not just message transmit, right? But it's validating that your message was received, and that's the sort of the full circle transaction is really what's important to be an effective communicator. And that's something that I really believe strongly in. And so when I think about how I developed communication skills over my life, I think, I'd invoke one of the concepts that I talked to the product leadership team about. That's a personal mantra of mine: don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, right? And I think sometimes people in public speaking environments feel intimidated by the expectations of the audience. And I think the thing that's actually helped me the most in my public speaking journey has been to be okay being vulnerable and be okay doing my best, and knowing that sometimes my best is still going to suck. Like, it's not, I'm not going to be great all the time, but if I keep at it and I keep trying, and I accept that I'm an imperfect person that's trying to improve, that's going to have to be good enough to get me through life, because what else can each of us do, right? But just offer our best in any situation. So I guess that's a little bit of my personal philosophy on being comfortable communicating, is just accepting yourself, right? Accepting that I'm going to say about 50 times probably in this 5 minutes, or accepting that I can get emotional when I'm standing up in front of people. And there's been communications I've had to give to all hands where I've cried in front of a big audience on a big stage. And at first I used to feel terrible about that. And then, over the years, I've just decided, you know what, like, there's nothing it reminds me of this Far Side cartoon. If any of you are familiar with the Far Side, where Gary Larson draws this picture, and it's about 1,000 different penguins, on an island. And there's one penguin that's just standing up there saying, I just gotta be me. He's like trying to be this individual penguin in the sea of penguins. And so in my mind, I guess as I've gotten older, I've come to just appreciate that part of being a good public speaker, I think, is just being comfortable in your own skin, for whatever warts it has and whatever foibles you have, and for whatever trips and stumbles that you make. But part of getting there was being brave enough to screw up quite a bit, in my journey of life. And so as I think about the different moments in my life that kind of taught me the hard way sometimes about speaking to people and communicating effectively, I mean, I suppose that starts from being a child, and my parents were both public school teachers. And so their mantra for me, or what they instilled in my sister and I, was just the power of curiosity and being an inquisitive person. And so I was always someone who was never afraid to ask questions. I wasn't always confident giving answers, but I was always someone who could contribute to a conversation in the form of just being curious about the topic. And so I suppose that gave me the beginnings of a voice in terms of feeling comfortable in a group, just learning and letting that curiosity kind of power my contribution to a conversation. And then, as I got older and ended up in the working world, my first job was on Wall Street, and I was a investment banker. So I was 22 years old and living in New York City, and having to, my job was to kind of sit in the cube and do the spreadsheets and work all night and hand them over the wall. But every once in a while, I had to go out and make a pitch to a customer with my boss and my boss's boss. And every once in a while, they asked me a question in the meeting. And so I guess I had to get comfortable with getting put on the spot. And having, that kind of teaches you preparation. That teaches you to maybe, anticipate a little bit of what people might be asking you. And so that maybe turned me a little bit more from being a person who asks the questions to a person who's put on the spot to answer the questions, and then you evolve from there. And then I went to graduate school I went to Harvard Business School, and Harvard has this thing called the case method, which a lot of different graduate programs have, and some of you might have experienced this as well. And in the case method, the way you learn is you read sort of like a dossier, about a company and a business problem they're struggling with. And then you're sitting in a group with all of your peers, and they have what's called the cold call, where your professor will say, hey, Sarah, can you introduce the case for us? And then you have to stand up in front of your peers and basically sort of prosecute what you think went on in this case, and what you think the questions are, and what you think the answers are. And so you, and the way that you got graded in business school, at least at Harvard, was your participation. So me being sort of a type A, like I want to do well, knowing that you're going to be scored on contributing to the conversation was certainly a catalyst to get me more active in being a contributor, and also more comfortable speaking extemporaneously to people when I didn't always know the answers and I wasn't always fully prepared. And you see that play out all day, those of you who work in product with me, that sometimes you just have to wing it a little bit. And so I suppose I got comfortable in grad school being better about winging it, but also somewhat, also improving my ability to prepare. And then, coming into the working world at Equinix, I mean, maybe I'm skipping a few stages here, but coming into working at Equinix, I think this is the place that has really helped me use my vulnerability as a strength, or maybe just sort of accept that I'm not going to be good at it all the time. And, the part of improving yourself is just forcing yourself to get out there. And I have happened to be in roles in the company where I haven't had a choice, but to get on a big stage. I mean, part of my job is trying to work to inspire and motivate, big groups of people. And so by definition, you have to get a little bit comfortable standing up here and talking about things when you don't always know the answers, and you don't, there's a certain amount of things you just can't prepare for, and you have to be okay with that. And so I guess the only thing that I leave you with in terms of that rambling personal journey is just to say, I think I love that we have this, because I think Toastmasters, it sounds like an amazing way for people to practice in a safe environment, being comfortable, just sharing their ideas. But I would encourage you, even in environments you might perceive as less safe, to know that they're still safe, right? This is a company that where we want everyone to feel safe, feel they belong, and feel they matter. And so what better place than Equinix, right, to practice not only in the Toastmasters forum, but in life, right? Communicating with each other and sharing your ideas and using your influence, because this is a community, I think, at Equinix that welcomes that. And it's certainly been a community that's helped me, to flourish in that regard, even when I'm not perfect. And I'm using ums, and I'm using knows, and I'm incredibly fearful about getting up and speaking extemporaneously sometimes. But you just do it. You kind of get up here and you do it, and it gets more comfortable, and you feel more confident, and hopefully that that comes through. So anyway, that's a few thoughts that I'll share on my communications journey.
All right, thank you, Sarah. And stay here. We have more for you.
Oh, more.
We have Patricia to come up and do a Q&A.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Sarah. That was really encouraging for all of us who are making our way through our communications journey. So a few questions that we have are, a common thing that we hear at Equinix is, people finding the time to develop their skills.
Yeah.
So how have you found or made the time to develop your skills?
That's a good question. I guess for me, trial by fire. I mean, I wish I could say, I wish I had better advice. For me, the way that my communication skills have improved is just by being forced to use them. And I think, there are certain types of forums, like when I go to big conferences, or we have our big Connect sales conference, where you're standing up on a stage and there's 1,500 people in the audience and the lights are on you and you can't see anybody. Like those types of situations for me are really scary. And so for those types of forums, I put a huge amount of time into practicing and almost sometimes memorizing like the key points I want to make. And so that preparation I put a lot of work into, but you know, part of the I think the emotional attachment that you get to a speaker when they're standing up here saying something to you is that it's not scripted, right? They're you know, you have to be human when you're presenting to someone. So I think there's kind of there's a balance to strike between certainly being prepared with the content and the ideas you want to get across, but also being okay that you're going to ask me a question that I don't know what it is, and I'm going to have to go, and then I'm going to think about an answer, and I'm going to share my idea. And sometimes I'll think after the fact, oh, I should have said this. And that's life.
Thank you. Speaking of nervousness, with all those lights on you, are there any tips that you could share with us about overcoming nervousness, or anything that you might do to prepare?
My husband always says, well, Sarah, a shot of tequila would help. But no, I mean, I try to get a good night of sleep, I guess. I mean, it's sort of like the basic physical, trying to get your body prepared, the power pose and stuff. I've never really been a power pose gal so much. I probably should, because it would help my posture. But, you know, I think to me, it's preparation and the concept of visualizing. I guess that's what a power pose, you know, concept is the idea of visualizing it going well, the idea of visualizing that you're connecting with people. You know, I sometimes try to think about like a few key, I mean, I try to use humor. I'm not the funniest person in the world. I love humor, but I try to use humor to connect with people. And so I'll try to think about how I can use that a little bit in my speech, because it actually makes me more comfortable if people are laughing and enjoying things. So those are maybe some of my thoughts.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. And then how do you prepare, as you speak to so many different kinds of audiences, so employees and contractors who work with us, and customers and other leadership, and I'm sure others like analysts, how do you try to get into their heads and figure out what perspective to come from?
That's a great question. You know, I think there's the you know, the adage, know your audience. But if you don't know your audience, sometimes you need to ask your audience or research your audience ahead of time. So let's say I'm going to go meet with an investor, or I'm going to go meet with a Gartner analyst. What I will try to do is find out, like, who's met that investor before, what's their background, what types of questions do they typically ask, or this person, this industry analyst at Gartner, like, what's his background? I'll talk to our analyst relations team. Who else has met with him? Like, what would that person already know or assume about Equinix, so that I shouldn't cover that part, I should cover something else. So I think there's just a research element of knowing your audience, and it never hurts to ask people when you sit down with them, like, okay, what do you know about Equinix? Like, what context do you have about the company? Or what do you know about this topic? Or what are the burning questions? You know, you've read the materials, like, let's say you're giving a presentation. I've sent out the materials ahead of time. Like, what questions come to mind immediately, so I can make sure I address those, you know, in the discussion. Like, there's nothing wrong with actually inviting your audience to educate you ahead of time. And that's a way to sort of get at that as well.
That's a great tip. Thank you. And now I'm just going to give you a little surprise question that I hope is okay. Do you support that Equinix reimburse expenses for people who join, full-time employees who join Toastmasters?
How much does it cost?
It's very reasonable, $100 to $140 a year, depending how fast someone's going down their pathway.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, we have a training and development budget at the company, and it's supposed to be used for training and development. So, and really, the best person to help assess what kind of training and development you need is you. So to the extent that Toastmasters is a way in which you would want to use your, you know, sort of your imaginary company allocation. I mean, it's real, but we don't actually designate it per person, is to reach out and ask your manager, can I expense this? And I suppose there's probably an official HR policy I should be talking about in terms of doing it programmatically, and I don't know the answer to that, but I absolutely support people investing in their development, and the company supports funding that.
Great. So because we're Toastmasters International is actually a nonprofit organization, and then all the clubs are run. So this is an employee-run club. So all of the organization, and it's really only materials and the online training that is being paid for. So I think it's pretty reasonable expense.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we have for you today.
Okay.
We really appreciate your time and for coming and sharing your story. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Not a problem. So in order for you to get comfortable with Toastmasters, what we're going to do now is do a mini meeting. We're going to have a little impromptu speaking session. We're going to have some feedback from a timing, and we have some people in the audience that are going to be filling some roles, as well as some closing comments. So for the officer team, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Okay. 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 Do we have an odd counter in the room? Could you explain your duties?
Sure. Hi, I'm today's counter, and what the counter does is not try to embarrass anyone about what they're saying. I just said there. So generally we throw a lot of fillers in while we're thinking about what we're going to say next. So this function helps you become more aware and basically learn to take a slight pause instead of filling it. And in today's meeting, I will just be saying under 5 ahs. I will be saying under 5 to 10 or more than 10. So we don't want to embarrass anyone. It's just to show you how that function can be helpful in improving your speech.
Okay, do we have a grammarian? Okay, here we go.
So I'm the grammarian for today, and I'll give you the word of the day, which is exuberance. It means the quality of being full of energy, excitement, and cheerfulness. And I'll use it in a sentence. You appreciate the natural exuberance of small children. What I'll do is I'll also notice the use of this word while people are speaking, and I'll also see how people are using grammar, if they're using it correctly, and then in the end of the meeting, I'll report how it went. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And normally in a regular meeting, we would have speakers and evaluators, but for this simple meeting, we're going to go through and give you an opportunity to participate and do some impromptu speaking. It's a lot of fun. Just relax. Don't worry about it. I realize that when people, and by the way, I'm a DTM, which doesn't stand for drink too much. It does stand for Distinguished Toastmasters. Distinguished Toastmaster. And I've been in Toastmasters since 2005. And I started in Portland, Oregon. I went to Florida for 8 years. I went to China, and I was a Toastmaster in China as well. I was one of the only 2 DTMs in Shenzhen, China, out of 42 million people. So, but the other DTM was my wife. But we had a great time networking and finding and meeting. We have lots of friends now in China because of Toastmasters. And Toastmasters gives you an opportunity to meet new people, to have friends from all over the world. This is a worldwide organization. We have contests a couple times a year, and the contest in the spring, you could go on to be the world champion of public speaking. So it's a really great opportunity to meet people from other parts of the world. You can go to almost any country in the world and go into toastmasters.org and say, hey, I'd like to go to a Toastmasters meeting. I've done that in London. I've done that in Chengdu, China. I've done that in Beijing. I've done that in a number of places around the world. I actually went to the Bahamas While I was in the Bahamas, I attended a Toastmasters meeting, got to meet some wonderful people. So there's lots of opportunity here. So next, we're going to go into our promptu speaking. We have Nilam. Are you, who's going to lead the impromptu? Oh, okay, sorry. Have you noticed that I'm their leader where, what is he doing? They said yesterday, oh, you should be the Toastmaster, which I did, but I wasn't quite sure what the agenda was. So here you go.
Thank you, Bob. Hi, everyone. This is Neelam Khacharia, and I am a table topic master today. So I will be asking a question regarding some technical question, your personal or something. Don't worry about that. It won't be like that. It will be really simple question, and you need to raise a hand if you want to volunteer for that. And you need to speak from 1 minute to 2 minutes. So I'm starting that. So first thing I want to ask about childish. So everyone has a child inside us, and everyone has a different way to express it. Many times it happens like we want to do something excitement or something like what we used to do in a childhood, but we are not doing because someone is watching or something. So if you get an opportunity, what would you like to do differently if you knew nobody's watching you? Any volunteer? It could be anything. Like I love to do a rain dance if someone is not watching, and if someone I notice someone is watching, I just clean my dress or something. I will do something like that. Anyone? Pritam, yeah.
Hey guys, I'm one of the members. What childish I would like to do if given a chance? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll do really fast bike racing and knock few people out, and maybe I'll just try to reach the end goal as soon as possible, and not care about who's thinking what, and just try to move fast. That's one of the activities I'd like to do. What else? I'd like to eat as much ice cream and chocolates as possible and smear on my face and my friend's face and make it really, really funny. And that's it. That's the excitement I would like to have a childish.
Thank you, Pritam. So second question is related to smile. I already see a beautiful smile over here. So smile is a simple and free therapy for so many things. But when it's get a chance to getting a smile on someone else's face, it's most difficult thing. So what makes you smile? It is my question. What makes you smile? Any volunteer? Bala, you are smiling, so do you want to try?
The first rule of Toastmasters is like when you don't get to talk anything, pause. So I know that I have 2 minutes. So when it comes to smile, yeah, I would like to connect the first topic and say that like children, when they are exuberant, they go and create a lot of troubles. And when the parents observe them, they smile. When do I smile? I smile at multiple times, okay? Like when I'm invited like this to talk, I smile when I don't have something to talk, okay? When my manager asks me a question and if I don't know anything about it, I smile. And when I try to explain so much about a topic and my manager doesn't even get it, I smile. That's the way to express the frustration also. So smile brings in a lot of things. Like whenever I see a dental clinic and the name of the dental clinic is Smile, I laugh. Because in dental clinic, I have never seen anybody smiling. At least while going in, maybe they're smiling, but while coming out, I'd never seen anybody smiling. So smile is something, it's a nice topic. So what other things that you do? I mean, what other things you smile at? I smile at kids. I smile when I make a funny, when I write a lot. So when I write something and people say it is crap, I smile. So I express all my frustration to my wife by smiling. So when I have nothing, I smile. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bala. By the way, based on a research, it says each smile makes your day younger. So keep smiling, don't forget. My next question is, we all are so busy nowadays in day-to-day duties and other roles and everything. Whenever we get some time, we do something or other thing. So my question is, what do you like to do in your free time? Any volunteer from this audience? Do you want to try? What's your name?
Okay, okay. That's a large audience. I've been sitting here, I haven't seen who was there behind me. So hi, everyone. So for the topic, what I would do in my free time, first when she asked that question, the first thing that came to my mind was shopping. That's the first thing that came to my mind whenever I get some time. I do some online shopping, keep researching what I can buy and all those things. That's the first thing I do. Other than that, I like to rest or I like to sleep and just watch TV, those kind of things. But the first thing I do is shop. Rest all comes because that's my relaxing thing. I think so. Everybody has a different way of getting their stress out, and that's my way of getting my stress out. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirti. Do we have extra time? Okay. So now let's talk about some power. So whenever we talk about power, the first thing comes in mind, it's a superhero. So now just imagine you have a one superpower, and if you get a chance to change around you at least one thing, what will be? Oh yes, Terry. We know you don't need a superpower, but still we want to hear from you. What is the one thing that you would like to change around you if you get a superpower?
I'm blank. What would, well, okay. So if I had the superpower to change what was around me, is that if everybody had the ability at any particular circumstance that you could literally change your environment. So if you're in a situation that may be tenseful, you can think, oh, you know, I want to be in Hawaii right now. And you literally are feeling as if you're ported in Hawaii, right? If you're feeling like the situation is a little hot and you want to feel a little cold, maybe you might want to picture yourself up in the ski slopes or coming down a slope really fast. So the ability to completely kind of transport yourself into a positive situation or a positive type of atmosphere, I think would be an amazing feat to be able to just actually give that to everybody who's actually sitting around you as well. I think the other benefit is also to port them somewhere if you're not feeling like you want them around you either. So it's a kind of a two-way street, right? They want to sit around and you're thinking, no, I think you ought to go to like the top of the Mount Olympus or something. And then they just kind of disappear and you go ahead and, you know, do what you got to do. So I think it's a two-way street and I think that would work out pretty well.
Thank you, Terry. Now, I would like to call our Toastmaster, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you. By the way, one of the benefits of Toastmasters is that the confidence that you build by putting yourself out there and trying to do something like this. Everybody knows it's not like, I would just rather sit down and not do anything. But when you put yourself out there and you go beyond your comfort zone, you will find it very rewarding. And one of the benefits of Toastmasters, I think maybe one of the most important benefits of Toastmasters is the confidence that you build when you can overcome something that you were afraid of. That confidence will go into other parts of your work. You know, you might be able to take the lead on that project that kind of scared you and maybe you didn't know you could do it. But you know, I overcome that public speaking fear. I bet you I could figure this project out. I bet you I could lead this project. So one of the benefits of Toastmasters is that confidence that you could try something that you've never tried before. You can do it, you can overcome it, and it can be great. Now, I throw this out there every once in a while. Who's here interested in doubling your salary? Anybody? Okay, that's what's happened to me since I started Toastmasters. My salary has doubled. Now, I'm not in it for the money, but what happened was, as I got new skills, my management was recognize that and give me more responsibilities. With more responsibilities came more salary. So if you want to jumpstart your career, work on your skills. If you want to work on your skills, join Toastmasters, overcome your fear of public speaking, be a better listener, be a better communicator, be a better evaluator. You will be absolutely amazed at what it'll do for you. Now, I never imagined that I would double my salary because at the time I was a manager at IBM doing pretty well. So it wasn't like I went from, you know, landscaping, which by the way, if you're in landscaping, it's okay, but going into working for a company like IBM, but it has absolutely paid off in my career. I can't encourage you enough. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for the money, okay? And by the way, my wife is also a distinguished Toastmaster, and she is more than happy to give me an evaluation anytime I want it. So I can just ask her, hey, how did I do with that? And she has no problem giving me frank evaluations. But what I found as a Toastmaster, when she asks for feedback from me, now I've got experience. I know what not to say. I have learned by experience because I've gone there before. I was tricked into it. And I said, you know, honey, you really could have been nicer. Well, that probably wasn't the right way to say it. In Toastmasters, you learn to give evaluations. You learn to give feedback, and it really is beneficial. Now, normally what we go with this, I want to make sure we keep you on time. We do have a couple of people that have been going through and keeping track of the times. And I want, so each of the impromptu speakers, we have a time. What we're going to do is get feedback from the counter, the grammarian, the timer. We'll do the timer first. Because what we'll do then is we'll vote. And I'll have somebody come up here and explain how we vote. You will then have the opportunity, if you took and came up here and put yourself out there and gave it, you may get a prize. I don't know what the prize is, but you might get one. For right now, let's get the times of the speakers.
Okay, Pritam, 55 seconds. And then we have the second speaker, which is Bala, 1 minute and 55 seconds. And then we have Katie, 50 seconds. And then we have Terry, 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Okay, everybody qualifies. And when I say qualify, this is what it's all about. Now, in our Toastmasters meeting, we actually have a timer. We actually have contests a couple times a year. How many have ever responded and you asked them a question and they said, no? It's kind of like, well, can't you at least explain why you think no? A good answer, especially to an executive, to your manager, to your wife, is to actually give a good answer in probably 1 to 2 minutes. So we conduct our table impromptu speaking. We usually qualify it 1 to 2 minutes. Now, we didn't go through that formality here, but in our Toastmasters meeting, we do time. We do the evaluations. We do, everything is on time. We try to run our meetings on time. Anybody been here in this building in a meeting that really wasn't, the time wasn't managed very well? Okay, so there, if you ever come to our Toastmasters meeting, you can volunteer to be a timer, and you can run a meeting, and you can, the Toastmaster, you can run a meeting with the timer and make sure everything's on time. So there's lots of valuable skills that we learn in the Toastmasters meeting that goes into every meeting, every room in this building. So the time you put in the Toastmasters meeting will definitely make a difference in the other meetings. So I want to give some time for the counter to give the feedback on the Oz.
Thank you, Bob. Excellent job with all our speakers today. I remember the first time I did impromptu speaking, I think I said over 20 Oz. So Pritam, just over 5. You were in the 5 to 10 category. Bala, the same, just one more than 5. And Kirthi, less than 5. And Terry, I did not hear any Oz.
Okay, members, you got a ways to go. I have a ways to go too as well. Even though I've been in for 12 years, I certainly do a number of ums. We are gonna vote, and here I'll have Bhargav here to explain how we're gonna vote.
So voting process is easier for people who have iPhone and Pixel. Maybe it might be a little harder for other people who owns different devices. So it's really simple. Even if you have Pixel or any smartphone, try to open up your camera and try to scan the QR code. So most probably if you see my device at top, like it gives me the link. You can open that link up and you can vote. Just in case if you are not able to use a QR code, we have a short URL at the bottom. You can also use that URL to vote. Thank you so much, Bob.
All right, while you're tallying your votes, it's my honor to introduce the president of our club to give some closing comments. That's what's next, right? Please help me welcome our president. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, even I was confused what's next because I was thinking that, I have to give my grammarian report. So I'll take a few minutes. You guys had excellent grammar. That's from the grammarian. And I heard the use of the word of the day, exuberance, just once from Bala. Congratulations, you get a prize from me. Okay, please, I'll take a minute to set up my laptop here. Sharing the screen. Bhargav, have you shared your screen? Okay, so I'm ready. Hello, everyone. I'm glad that you could make it to today's meeting. I'm Shilpi Jaiswal, and I'm a process analyst with the network operations team. I'm also the president of the Interconnected Toastmasters Club here at Equinix. I have a quick question from the audience. How many of you, this is the first time to a Toastmasters meeting? 1, 2, 4 of you. Can you take a few minutes and share your name and what department you are from and what you knew about the Toastmasters and how you liked the meeting up to now. Can you all one by one stand? You can go ahead first. Okay, sure. No, we see that you're perfect and confident. Great. Believe me, I'm nervous. Yeah, sure. So that will be covered by the VP membership and our treasurer, Patricia, by the end of the meeting. So can we move to the next person? Can you stand up? And share what you knew about Toastmasters and how you liked it. Thank you for sharing. Can you stand up and talk about? 2. Thank you. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Oh, great. Welcome. Two 200 years ago. Thank you. Thank you for sharing about Toastmasters. It's great to know that a lot of people know about Toastmasters. And I hope you all enjoyed the meeting today. I mean, the reason we organize this open house is that we can share about Toastmasters or make people aware of Toastmasters and show you or demonstrate you how we conduct our meetings. As you could see that this is a space where we practice our public speaking skills in a safe and supportive environment. And that's precisely the mission of Toastmasters, to empower individuals to become more effective communicators and better leaders. Now, I'm sure a lot of you think that you don't need to become a better speaker because maybe you're an individual contributor or a developer or a tester, or in a role where you don't need to improve your public speaking skills. But to that, I have another set of arguments. Do you ever attend or run a meeting? Do you ever give or take feedbacks? Do you collaborate with other teams? Do you are put in a spot to answer questions which you don't expect? Most importantly, do you have a vision of where you want to be in future? To that, we at Toastmasters are here to help you to get to the place where you want to be. If you want to grow as a leader and become a better you, we here at Toastmasters can help you get there. There are several benefits of joining Toastmaster. First and foremost, through writing speeches and preparing it and presenting it, you practice your public speaking skills. You learn how to clearly communicate to people. And there's no pressure to give a speech every week. You can even, like a lot of people did today, you can participate in the meeting roles like an hour counter or an evaluator, or you can participate in these impromptu speeches where you can practice your listening skills and skills to give feedbacks. And in turn, you also learn how to take feedbacks and implement feedbacks. You practice time management. This helps boost your team collaboration. For example, like Bob was the Toastmaster or the MC of today's meeting. You learn how to run effective meetings and save time and money for your company. You can enjoy a program that allows for unlimited growth potential and leading to tremendous career growth. I personally have gained a lot out of Toastmasters. My journey with Toastmasters started with one such open house where I came, I saw, I liked, and I joined right away. And since then, I have seen or experienced a lot of growth in myself. Sorry, went away. Oh, my laptop just died. So as I was talking about my journey with Toastmasters, my expectations was that I'll improve my communication skills, but I also saw it as a fun way to spend one lunch, one day a week here at Equinix. It sounded fun. We used to talk and give these impromptu speeches. It's a great place to also practice a leadership skill. When I joined, Bob, he came up to me and he said, would you want to take up a leadership role? And I said, I'm glad to take it. I became the VP education at that point. And then from there, I gained the confidence and I became the president now. And there are two very key skills which I learned from Toastmasters. One, audience awareness. When I joined from grad school, all I did was, make all these fancy graphs and charts and distribution tables. And I thought, who cannot understand that? But with my experience with Toastmaster, what I learned is that people need story, a message, a call to action. They need to tell you what you're telling them. And that's one very key skill which I got. The other key skill was leadership. I learned that I don't need to wait around for a leadership role to come my way. I gained the confidence to present my ideas and pitch my ideas to leadership and get support for implementing them. All this you can get without breaking a budget. It's pretty cheap. I had the slide, but it's pretty cheap. There's a $20 New Year member fee, which you get waived if you join today. And there's a $50 membership due, which is every 6 months. And I'm sure a lot of leaders or managers here agreed to reimburse it. And compare it to a lot of other leadership seminars and conferences. For example, the Dale Carnegie 3-day leadership seminar, it's over $2,000 per person. I mean, we can easily see that this is the cheapest possible option for you, and you gain a lot out of it. It's cheap, and it's also ongoing, unlike other leadership opportunities or such public speaking trainings. This is ongoing. So if you want to grow, if you have a vision of where you want to be in the future, please join Toastmasters. Please let us help you get to that place. If you want to join, please talk to our VP membership, Muhammad Alam, and our treasurer, Patricia James. And right now, I'd like our Toastmasters offices team to stand up. And please see them. And if you have any questions, please reach out to them. Thank you. Oh, and now we give the prize away.
So we just had a workaround. Our ribbons got stuck in the executive room, but we have a winner. Good news is we have a table topic winner, and the winner is Bala. Yeah, just come over here. So in of our meetings, we usually have ribbons, and we also post their pictures on our website as well as our social media site. So thank you so much, Bala, for participating. It was a great listening to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Lunch will be here soon. So if you have any questions regarding the group or the club, please reach out to us. Thank you so much for joining today. Have a nice day.
Anyone, guys, please don't go without joining the Toastmaster. We are here, we can do it in 2 minutes. Anyone interested, please come here and we can do the registration for you.
Done.